At least, that's the way it is with Lunetta. And the bonus of having her as a pain in the rear sister was figuring out that this method works on everyone. Teachers, jerks at school, even mom and dad. Seriously, there's no winning argument with your parents, so why get all pumped up over them? It is way better to dive down and get out of the way than it is to get clovered by some parental tidal wave. The funny thing is, Lunetta's still clueless when it comes to dealing with mom and dad. She goes straight into thresh mode, and is too busy drawing in the argument to take a deep breath and dive for calmer water. And she thinks I'm stupid. Anyway, true to form, Lunetta tried to debate me with Julie those first few days. She even snuck her past dad once and marched her all around the house, hunting me down. I wedged myself up on the top shelf of my closet, and lucky for me, neither of them looked up. A few minutes a few minutes later, I heard Dad yell at Julie to get off the antique furniture, and once again she got booted. I don't think I went outside that whole first week. I helped unpack stuff and watched the TV and just kind of hung around while my mom and dad arranged and rearranged the furniture, debating whether Empire's Fatis and Frenchy Rococo tables should even be put in the same room. So believe me, I was dying to go outside, but every time I checked through the window, I could see Julie showing off in her yard. She'd be heading a soccer ball, or doing high kicks with it, or dribbling it up and down their driveway. And when she wasn't busy showing off, she'd just sit on the curb with the ball between her feet, staring at our house. My mom didn't understand why it was so awkward that that cute little girl had held my hand. She thought I should make friends with her. I thought you liked soccer, honey. Why don't you go out there and kick the ball around? Because I didn't want to be kicked around. That's why. And although I couldn't say it like that at the time, I still had enough sense at age 7 and a half to know that Julie Baker was dangerous. Unavoidably dangerous, as it turns out. The minute I walked into Mrs. Yelson's second grade classroom, I was that mid. Bryce! Julie squeals. You're here! Then she charges across the room and tackles me. Mrs. Yelson tried to explain this attack away as a welcome hug, but man, that was no hug. That was a front line. Take them down tackle. And even though I shook her off, it was too late. I was branded for life. Everyone jeered. Where's your girlfriend, Bryce? Are you married yet, Bryce? And then, when she chased me around at recess and tried to lay kisses on me, the whole school started singing. Bryce and Julie sitting in the tree, Kissing. My first year in town was a disaster. Third grade wasn't much better. She was still hot on my trail every time I turned around. Same with fourth. But then, in fifth grade, I took action. It started out slow. One of those that's not right ideas you get and forget. But the more I played with the idea, the more I thought, what better way to ward Julie off? What better way to say to her, Julie, you're not my type? And so, my friend, I hatched the plan. I asked Shelley Stalls out. To fully appreciate the brilliance of this, you have to understand that Julie hates Shelley Stalls. She always has, though it beats me why. Shelley's nice and she's friendly and she's got a lot of hair. What's not to like? But Julie hated her, and I was gonna make this little gem of knowledge the solution to my problem. What I was thinking was that Shelley would eat lunch at our table and maybe walk around a little with me. That way, anytime Julie was around, all I'd had to was hang a little closer to Shelley and things would just naturally take care of themselves. What happened, though, is that Shelley took things way too seriously. She went around telling everybody, including Julie, that we were in love. In no time, Julie and Shelley got into some kind of catfight. And while Shelley was recovering from that, my supposed friend Garrett, who had been totally behind this plan, told her what I was up to. He's always denied it, but I've since learned that his code of honor is easily corrupted by weepy females. That afternoon, the principal tried crossing-examining me, but I wouldn't cop to anything. I just kept telling her that I was sorry and that I really didn't understand what had happened. Finally, she let me go. Charlie cried for days and followed me around the school sniffling and making me feel like a real jerk, which was even worse than having Julie as a shadow. Everything blew over at the 1 week mark, though, when Shelley officially dumped me and started going out with Kyle Larson. Then Julie started up with the goo eyes again, and I was back to scare one. Now, in 6th grade, things changed, though whether they improved is hard to say. I don't remember Julie actually chasing me in the 6th grade, but I do remember her sniffing me. Yes, my friend, I said sniffing. And you can blame that on our teacher, Mr. Martins. He stuck Julie to me like glue. Mr. Martins has got some kind of doctorate in seating arrangements or something, because he analyzed and scrutinized and practically baptized the seats we had to sit in. And of course, he decided to sit Julie right next to me. Julie Baker is the kind of annoying person who makes a point of letting you know she's smart. Her hand is the first one up. Her answers are usually complete dissertations. Her projects are always turned in early and used as weapons against the rest of the class. Teachers always have to hold their project up and say, "This is what I'm looking for, class. This is an example of A+ work." Add all the extra credit she does to an already perfect score. And I swear she's never gotten less than 120% in any subject. But after Mr. Martins stuck Julie right next to me, her annoying knowledge of all subjects far and wide came in handy. See, suddenly Julie's perfect answers, written in perfect cursive, were right across the aisle, just an eye shot away. You wouldn't believe the number of answers I snagged from her. I started getting A's and B's on everything. It was great. But then Mr. Martins pulled the shift. He had some new idea for optimizing positional latitude and longitude. And when the dust finally settled, I was sitting right in front of Julie Baker. This is where the sniffing comes in. That maniac started leaning forward and sniffing my hair. She'd edge her nose practically up to my scalp and sniff, sniff, sniff. I tried elbowing and back kicking. I tried scooting my chair away forward or putting my backpack between me and the seat. Nothing helped. She'd just scoot up, too, or lean over a little farther and sniff, sniff, sniff. I finally asked Mr. Martins to move me, but he wouldn't do it. Something about not wanting to disturb the delicate balance of educational energies. Whatever. I was stuck with her sniffing, and since I couldn't see her perfectly penned answer anymore, my grades took a dive, especially in spelling. Then one time during a test, Julie's in the middle of sniffing my hair when she notices that I've blown a spelling word. A lot of words. Suddenly the sniffing stops and the whispering starts. At first I couldn't believe it. Julie Baker cheating? But sure enough, she was spelling words for me, right in my ear. Julie'd always been sly about sniffing, which really bugged me because no one ever noticed her doing it. But she was just as sly about giving me answers. which was okay by me. The bad thing about it was that I started counting on her spelling in my ear. I mean, why study when you don't have to, right? But after a while, taking all those answers made me feel sort of indebted to her. How can you tell someone to bug off or quit sniffing you when you owe them? It's, wrong. So I spent the sixth grade somewhere between uncomfortable and unhappy. But I kept thinking that next year, things would be different. We'd be in junior high, a big school, in different classes. It would be a world with too many people to worry about everything. Julie Baker again. It was finally gonna be over.